Hello, welcome to Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast. I am Gary Howard. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully well. I am currently at the 2022 True Crime Podcast Festival with a bunch of other podcasters, which is super awesome. I got to meet a lot of fascinating people and promoting my show. So if you're a new listener, thank you for checking me out. I am a truck driver. I travel all 48 states. And during this time, I stay at truck stops for 10-hour breaks. So on that, I talk about the truck stop, what to eat there, everything about it, and a murder that happens within 50 miles. Also, if you're a return listener, thank you for giving me a try. Now, normally, I'll go on Trucker's Path and do my episodes, but today I am going on the web. This is a Yelp report. Today brings us to Du Bois, Pennsylvania, which is a place I'm very familiar with since we do have a lot of customers there. We go to some paper mills in Robertsville, Pennsylvania, and Du Bois. We have papers. But brings me to the Pilot truck stop right there off of I-80. And I have to say, it's a truck stop. If you have a truck and you want to stop there, they have the amenities of there to help. There's plenty of parking. But there's also a lot of reserve parking too. So it's one of them places, but it ain't too bad. And its address is 1742 Rich Highway, Du Bois, Pennsylvania. So, and as I always do, if you ever travel through there and you stop at this truck stop, what is there to eat around there? Well, there's Arby's. You can eat at Arby's, and I don't think I should need to explain what's at Arby's, and I don't even think Arby's knows what's at Arby's, but it's roast beef. And then you have your truck stop, the regular food. They have truck stops like roller hot dogs and sandwiches and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm going to go through the truck stop pretty quickly, but it's kind of run down. It definitely did. The truck place, Pilot does not upkeep this place very well. And depending if you're a truck driver, depending on what side of the parking lot you park at, it could be tricky to get in. You have to blindside when there's a turnaround at the end of the facility, but a lot of truck drivers want to block that. And so let's see some reviews. What does us truck drivers think of this place? One review is a 4-star review. Nice travel stop, well-maintained inside, a nice area to get soft drinks and foods. Bathrooms are clean and have seat covers and hand sanitizers on your way out, which a lot of truck driver stops are having them. The hand sanitizing stations around the building. Just like most Pilots, clean and stocked. No, that's wrong, because I've been to a lot of Pilots that have been horrible. Coffee area is always great. My son makes a great cohesion together with all the yummy flavors of creamers, so he mixes all the creamers together. Cashiers were friendly. We're able to get gas, coffee, snacks, leave within 10 minutes. We look for Pilots for that reason. I myself look for Pilots for the reason my company actually fuels through Pilot and Flying J. Now here's a 3-star review. My go-to place for coffee and gas when I'm traveling. Always clean and the staff is friendly. I like the 2 for $3 hot dogs, 2 for $3 hot dogs, which if you want a good hot dog, I always like on the Loves. They have the jalapeno cheese. I think it's really good. But yeah, this guy likes it. I don't see too many bad reviews about this place. So it's a typical. It's not a really great truck stop, but also it's not a bad one. So, but it's in Du Bois, Iowa. So let's talk about the case that I cover. I found this. Now, I found on an ID channel this case, but I have not seen no podcast. So it's the murder of Theresa Dalessio. Let's talk a little bit about her. The Dalessios were her husband. She is married to Douglas Dalessio, and the Dalessios married 10 years. Were married at the time this happened, lived for 10 years, lived in a refurbished but modest frame house on Plumville's 1.5 mile on Plumville's Road, 1.5 miles from Main Street, an avenue of modest homes in Plumville, a borough of 500 people, 20 miles east of Kennington. So it's a lot of area that this is not too far from one of the Hood Containers where I pick up paper from. So it's really a lot of mountains, really mountainous around there. But it's very nice. If I ever decide to go anywhere, this is where I would love to move to. It's really country area, a lot of mountains. But it was nice until October 6th of 2001, where the family had turned in for the night when around 1:30 a.m. an intruder broke into their house by kicking the door down. So they heard the commotion. Of course, the Daleccio's couple and their two children were asleep in their respective bedrooms. Theresa was the first one to hear all the commotion, so she had got up out of bed when she heard the noise from the door being kicked in. And that's when her husband slept through the initial break-in, but when she got out of bed, that's when he had woken up to see what she was doing. And as she walked out the door and looked to the left, I believe it was to the left, or looked to her side, that's when she was shot with a shotgun. And then after that, she had fell back into the bedroom. So after hearing this gunshot, and he saw his wife stagger into the room and collapse, he rolled off their bed away from the doorway and tried to retrieve his .357 Magnum that he had by his nightstand. While looking for the drawer, he was reminded that his weapon was left downstairs a few days ago. So after a while, he reportedly heard a second shot. Following this, he went on, Douglas allegedly heard the intruder, who was seemingly a male voice, scream, "Does anybody else want more of this?" Therefore, Dalessio crawled underneath the bed. I don't know if he was scared or what, but he hid underneath the bed and grabbed the telephone where he had dialed 911. When he heard the grumbling noise of his wife, he realized that his wife was seriously wounded when he called 911 and went and tried to comfort her, but also try to keep her down because she was afraid that the intruder might come back. So she was trying to figure out why he pulled her down. She said, "Why can't I get up?" I guess she was unaware. She was unaware of what was going on. Well, she knew she got shot, but he was just trying to keep her down. So after 911 call was made, the troopers got there pretty quickly. So two troopers first arrived at the scene, were informed by Douglas that his 18-month-old son, Dylan, was missing. Dylan was then found on the kitchen floor, covered in blood, where he was upstairs, but he had crawled, downstairs. And the other trooper found Theresa on the floor of the couple's bedroom. Dylan survived the shot once he was hospitalized at Pittsburgh Hospital for 2 weeks. He had really serious injuries. Of course, the shotgun almost blew his arm off. So, he had sustained injuries to his arm, chest, and abdomen. Dylan's brother, Devin, who was at 5 at the time, was left unscathed. He was not hurt. So one of the responding troopers, Christopher Adams, was also able to interview a conscious Theresa. But she was not able to talk because of the gun wound. When asked if she knew the shooter, she shook her head and indicated that she didn't. She didn't know him. Theresa died some hours later in the Indiana Regional Medical Center after succumbing to a single shotgun wound to her chest. So who did this? Who is this individual? Of course, the husband did not see who it was because he was underneath the bed, and she did not recognize him. Even though she did recognize him, she was not able to speak. But Douglas was underneath the bed, so he couldn't see it. So who did this? So they knew 911 call was made not too far long before they showed up. So they wanted to make sure they searched the area, make sure if it was him, if it was her husband, that they would find a shotgun that was still there because he did not have enough time to get rid of it. So State Trooper Steven Scalo said that Dalessio emerged from underneath he stayed underneath the bed the whole time, nearly incoherent, and made that way when troopers ushered him to the alley room couch, where he was hysterical and just kept babbling things like, where he testified one thing he said, "They're out to get me." The defense lawyer afterwards, he kept saying, "They're out to get me." Who are they? And he was not able to get a response from him. And of course, he said, I didn't do it. I think police knew I didn't do it. It would be a pretty sick individual to shoot an 18-month-old kid. Dalessio asked me what I would want to see. The police officer asked, what do you think should happen to this individual? He said, the same thing that happened to my family should happen to him too. And if it was a hitman, I want to see the same thing happen to that person who hired him. So they want everybody to have the same whatever happened to his wife and child, that's what he wants to happen to these people. So, suspects. So they quickly eliminated him from there because there's no way he could do this. So who could have done this? Who had a thing with Douglas Dalessio? So Douglas, for instance, is a co-defendant in local 1999 land sale, which plaintiffs claimed that they were hoodwinked. Another case from Samuel Dalessio, whose interests included a farm, a trucking company, and livestock trading, suing a Butler Cattleman over $8,000 transaction, where some of the ill feelings, they had some ill feelings against this guy for selling bad property. Meanwhile, James Limpson, a Dalessio ally, second cousin by marriage. So this is how small this town is. That he's related to the mayor of it. Also, when they questioned the mayor about what do you think about this, and the mayor said that this guy was a big baby. He would never hurt nobody. So that's one of the reasons why they don't think he did it. And the most ungainly case in Dalessio's legal history is his family, his parents was going through a divorce. So in order for the husband not to lose everything, what they did was they signed over everything to and then 20-year-old Douglas. So in the divorce settlement that his wife is Rosalia Dalessio, she would not get anything. So she was actually suing both husband and father Douglas and the father Samuel for that, because they're saying he was trying to hide assets that would belong to her. That way he got to keep it. But also they think when he got it, he signed it over to his wife. So they think maybe that might be an issue there. Maybe, but they did settle out of court when they went to court. And 6 years after that, Rosia Dalessio got a $1 million judgment against her son, a judgment that was gone unpaid. So they think that might be a reason why she would have been murdered, because she also had a life insurance policy for $358,000. So they thought maybe if they do that, it'll be murder and go on. But it was not them. So who killed her? Who killed Theresa Dalessio? So they started looking around, see if there's anybody saw anything. And that's when the volunteer fire department said they did see a white pickup truck that was traveling down the road and went towards the Dalessio's house. And first was seen at a bar, get his truck and leave, and was seen going to Dalessio's house around the same time of the murder, and then afterwards come back. So, and they were looking out for him. Finally, they did see the vehicle, and they called the police, hey, he's right here. And the person they got was Randy Clark Whitaker. So they went to go question him. They asked him if he had a shotgun, and he said, yes, I do. Just gave it to him. I guess he didn't know the forensics behind his shotgun shells, how they could trace different, even though there's no rifling on it, but they can do the firing pin. So sometime after 10:20 p.m. on the following evening, October 5th, Randy Clark observed drinking in a bar. A few hours later, at approximately 1 a.m. on October 6, 2001, 3 volunteer fires observed the vehicle. Like I said, I'm not going to go. Okay, but yeah, Randy Clark they found casings at the house that matched the casings that was at the Dalessio's house. And so right after that, Randy Clark, was arrested when a weapon expert matched the marks of the spent shotgun shells retrieved from Dalessio's home and the tractor mechanism in a 12-gauge Mossberg shotgun, which was owned by Whitaker's wife, which said that he was there the whole time, which it is not true. So charges of first-degree murder of the killing Theresa Marie Dalessio and attempted murder of wounding of Dylan Dalessio. Other charges were aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, and burglary, along with the shooting. Yeah, during court hearings, according to Whitaker's wife, he had allegedly been home with her during the shootings. Prosecutors claimed that the attack occurred as a result of an outrage against this is what he did. Kind of like what the other individuals were saying, that because of property sales, but he was very upset because the house was sold to him by the Dalessios. The septic system did not work. So the dispute allegedly stemmed from Whitaker had found faults with the septic system. In context, Dalessio, in his own testimony against Whitaker, Also mentioned that Whitaker had filed a civil lawsuit against him. Court documents mentioned that Whitaker had become obsessed with the lawsuit and didn't think it was going quick enough for him. So that's why he decided to take it on his own, go there. He was not, we don't know if he was planning on killing the whole family or if he was just saving it or the gun jammed. But what happened was during case hearings, during the court trial, they actually brought the jury to the house and demonstrated what he thought what happened. That he went upstairs, he kicked the door down. His main target was Douglas Dalessio, who was going for him because selling the house with the faulty septic system. But when his wife came out, he and looked at him, face to face with the killer, shot her. And since he couldn't find Dalessio in the bedroom, he went down to the other bedroom where the kids were sleeping, and without looking, just pumped around into the bed, injuring their son, Dylan. So, and that's when he couldn't find them. Now, we don't know if the gun jammed or if he just decided to leave. But that's when he had left the building, and that's when Douglas Dalessio decided to call the 911. And he also talked about how their young child had walked out of the room trying for help because he has a big, bullet wound, stopped by his mother. Of course, she's going for comfort because you don't know what's going on. And they could tell because the blood had puddled by his mom, and that's when he went downstairs to try to leave. So he has a lot of information against him, a lot of circumstantial, but because of the bullet casings that was found at Dalessio's house and the spent cases that matched the shotgun that he did have, but on appeals, he said that should not have been admissible to court, that there was faulty evidence that should be thrown out. He also complained that there was no fingerprints. They didn't do no fingerprints or foot markings at the scene. So he said because of them two factors that it should be tossed out of court, which of course it was not. So Whitaker, wearing a blue suit, sporting a neatly trimmed beard, showed no emotion at the verdict, was read after a jury. 6 men and 6 women deliberated about 6 hours, and he was found guilty of the charges I had mentioned earlier. Also was found guilty of aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, and burglary in connection with the shootings, where he'd be gone with you, sir, will get life without the possibility of parole. So he is going to be there for the rest of his life. We don't have to worry about him. All because he took this family because of a septic system and the court system not going fast enough for what he felt like was good speed. He wanted to be quickly, but there's I'm still going through a court hearing with the whole earplugs. It just takes, sometimes the laws of justice move slow. You just got to bear with it. You just can't go hurry up. It will happen. But there you go. There's the case of the murder of Theresa Dalessio and the monster who killed her over a bad septic system. And I am here. Like I said, I'm here at the 22 in Dallas, Texas. I forgot I mentioned that. Dallas, Texas, 2022 True Crime Podcast Festival. Now I think tickets you could come. The day is today and a half day tomorrow. But next year, if you couldn't make it this year, you can go to the 2023 Podcast Festival. That will be in Austin, Texas. And if you follow me on Instagram or my Facebook group or Twitter, I will be putting links on all that stuff. So hope to see you there. It's very enjoyable. It's kind of like CrimeCon, but smaller. So yeah, hope to see you there. And if you enjoyed the hearing of the story, hopefully you don't enjoy the story. It was a brutal murder over something that should not have happened. If you enjoyed it, please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Truck Stop Murder, True Crime Podcast. Also review me anywhere you can review 5 stars, the better. And like I always say, you can't fix stupid, but you can sure numb it with a 2x4. I am out of here. I guess I can't end this.